First of all, I'll welcome our moderator, Ruth Messenger, who's here with us. And in a moment, you'll see on the big screen, Hilla Medalia, who's up at like 4 in the morning, 3:30 in Israel. Who knows what time it is? Hilla, can we hear you?
Yes. Hi, everybody.
Can we just let you know? Hi, I'm Ruth.
Hi, Ruth.
Can we just let you know first what we thought of this film?
Oh, glad to hear that. Thank you.
That's to see if I can ask a single question without crying. The film is extraordinary, and I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about you. Is this the only film you've made? How many years that you were invested in this? Why you chose to make this film? All of those questions.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Hilla Medalia. I'm the producer of MUHI. The film was directed by first time by two directors, Rina and Tamir, who actually that's their first film. Rina is very established photojournalist. She has been photographed for years. Actually, very, very established. She was the first to photograph Arafat in Tunisia before Oslo. She and actually she started, and Tamir also did a lot of kind of journalistic work, more on the video side of it, but like shorts for New York Times, etc. And that's actually how they met. So Rina met MUHI when working on a story for the New York Times and decided that she wanted to make a film about him. And then she asked Tamir to join her to help her with the video. And then they came to me, and I'm actually a director and a producer. I've done films for more than 10 years. Actually, my films showed before at Other Israel, and I don't know if any of you had the chance to see them, like Dancing in Jaffa with
Yes.
Opening night film one year, Censored Voices, and many others. And I started with them actually quite early on, maybe almost. They started filming maybe a few months before we met, maybe 6 months, and then we have been working together for more than 3 years on the film, and just following MUHI, and then of course the editing process. It's always this chain now that you shoot a lot, and then it
Right.
takes a long time to edit, and then of course a lot of things happen in his life. So we had to continue filming.
There may be things you want us to know, but let me first ask, are there any updates since the end of the film? The family is still in the same situation?
Yes, so MUHI and Abu Naim are still living in the Shiva at the hospital. And MUHI is now in second grade. He's going to second grade in Jaffa at this mixed school that has both Palestinian Israelis and Jewish people as students. He's doing good. He comes to a lot of screenings with us, and it's static, but at the same time, it's always like unknown. It's always unknown how long he could stay at the hospital. The permits are unknown. Right now, the permits that they have, the generally temporary permit, which is, believe it or not, a very, very good permit for Gazan Palestinians. Very rare to get that, but it's temporary. So you never know if it will be renewed and what will be the continuation of that. It's a bit more stable, I would say, for Muhammad, but for MUHI, but for Abu Naim, the grandfather, it's a constant unknown. And also, of course, mentally, he doesn't know. He's scared of what will happen.
I mean, I think he deserves the World Peace Prize for the way in which he's functioned in this family. It's just an extraordinary.
For sure.
Do you have any insights that you can share as to, other than an amazing level of faith, but the things that hold this family together, just as we saw them over and over, were just amazing?
Yeah, I mean, we see the grandma, Awatef, was visiting recently, and it's very, it's a very difficult situation.
Yes.
Sure, because Abu Naim also has his family in Gaza, and he needs to provide for them. So there are many levels of difficulties. I mean, it's been many years, so I think they're, it's hard to say, but in a way they're a bit used to the situation that he's not there, that it's chanting. Now Abu Naim is working still at the hospital, so at least there is some money that he can, help and support his family. But, it's this, there are no words that can describe the situation and how, and also we always discuss among us and with the volunteers, what will be the future? That's always the big questions. But also, I always try to be hopeful, and I think that what's the amazing thing is this whole kind of family that was created around MUHI. It's all those volunteers and all these people. Of course, Buma and Bar that you saw in the film, but there are more than that. Like there is a woman, Tamara, for example,
right,
who comes every single Saturday for like 7 years, and spend the whole day with him. I mean, obviously, it's from taking him MUHI to do things like kids his age, but even just taking care of him and helping Abu Naim. There is a lot of care that needs to happen, that we chose not to show. But MUHI has this autoimmune system deficiency, and he has, for example, a stoma, this kind of bag that needs to be replaced. Like there is a lot of care that needs, and I think that's really inspiring to see all these amazing people. When we started the film, we used to think that maybe the film is about this alternative family that was created, with this kind of all those mothers and fathers that kind of join. Of course, they're not the biological.
No, I mean their care is amazing, but just the depth of passion of that grandfather and his. I mean, I would listen to an interview with him for 2 hours as another film. I mean, how he sees the world is just beyond imagination.
For sure.
We're going to take a couple of questions from the audience. You'd see, we'll get to you with the microphone.
What is the prognosis for his health long term?
He's very strong now, so it's so really, if he wasn't, he is not supposed to live in the hospital. He really needs to come to the hospital only when there is attack of his disease, and the last one was like, I think almost 2 years ago now. He's very strong, there is no threats or anything, but also I can say that, because of his disease, he's more, he's more fragile, and if there is something, it's always a bit bigger and more dangerous for him, So in general, there is no. I mean, they think he can live.
He should be living.
Right.
He should be living outside the hospital. Yes, Yitzi?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Another question.
You mentioned the screenings that he's coming. How many people in Israel saw the movie?
So we premiered at OIFF, the documentary festival in Israel, to great success. Then we were screening at the Cinematheque and still screening all over the country. We showed on television in Israel on Yes Doco. I don't have the full number, but it did quite well. We were nominated for the Ophir Award, the Israeli type Academy Award, if you will.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Now we were nominated for the Documentary Forum Award. I mean, people are seeing it. Of course, not enough in our mind, but it is showing.
Good.
Thank
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, extraordinary film.
Thank you.
No words. Tell us a little bit about Buma and how he came into this family and where did the friendship originate?
Yes, so Buma is actually the one who introduced Rina to Muhammad, because if I go back to how it all started, so Rina actually did a story about bereaved families, and that's how she met Buma, and with him she met Muhammad. So Buma is really extraordinary. He dedicated his entire life to the Palestinian patients, and he is very close to Abu Naim and Muhammad, but also to many other Palestinian kids, especially kids who are hospitalized in Israel. He created those contacts with the people at the Erez crossing and the people who gives the permits, and he really helps getting people in and out and arranging everything for them, and also when they are at the hospital. From little things, like one day he realized that the chaperones, the people that are coming with those kids, they don't have what to do, and sometimes they stay for weeks. So he was kind of initiating donations of books in Arabic to the hospital, so for things like that, to really helping people coming across, getting permits, and he really dedicated his life to this work. He doesn't work with any NGO. He's a bit tired of all the politics with everything, so he's a man of his own. But I think he's every day at the hospital, at the Erez crossing, driving himself people, and also helping them getting whatever they need. So he's really extraordinary.
Well, you should thank him for all of us and another million people besides. He's quite amazing. Yes, he's coming with a mic.
We have time for one last question, I'm afraid.
Who in Israel is actually responsible for making the decisions as to what happens to MUHI and his grandfather? And what considerations is this politically bound, or do you have any other, what is affecting the decision?
Yeah, so first of all, the hospital has been really amazing, and I want to bring it up because, we decided to keep in the film the whole section that they're talking about the malpractice, and partially because, on one hand, there is the healthcare system in Gaza is in such a bad situation, so they really don't have a choice. So they're sending the kids and people to Israel. So those are the lucky ones. But on the other hand, there is a lot of mistrust. I mean, you can imagine that the Palestinian father who was never able to come visit his son, is sending him to Israel for treatment. So there is, on one hand, they're doing it because there is, that's the best thing. But on the other hand, there is a lot of mistrust. So the hospital, they've been there for so long, and I think that they have really good intention to keep them. So I doubt it. Though on the other hand, there is no extra beds in Israeli hospitals. It costs a lot of money, and the Palestinian Authority paid the first few years, or I don't know how long, and now nobody really pays for it. So there is a lot of things on that aspect. But then, of course, it's politics. You know what I mean? If he doesn't have permit to stay, they won't be able to stay. So it's a combination, and of course, in the real world, there was he would be living not in the hospital, in an ideal world, and he would be living in an apartment nearby. And when he needs, he would go for care. Actually, with someone that has, an immune system deficiencies, very dangerous to live in the hospital. So, but of course, then you need a lot of money and a lot of care. That's right now is not a possibility. So, it's a combination, but I would say that, so there is the political levels of the permits and allowing them. There are a lot more people in Gaza who needs care in Israel than Israel is taking.
Right.
And there has been recently a lot of protests about women that has breast cancer in Gaza and are not able to get the care they need, and they're dying. So, of course, there are permits. There is also agreements between Israel and Palestine. It's very complicated because, how it works and who gets permit to go and who gets permit to stay, and then, and also the permits. I mean, of course, there is a lot to blame Israel, but also, the permits, the Palestinian Authority needs to give the permit and Hamas needs to give the permit. So there are other powers involved in all that. And then, of course, the hospital. I'm sure that it's difficult there. I mean, I don't think the hospital is going to kick them kick them out so quickly. They've been there. They know everybody. It's like, I don't think anyone has the heart to actually do that.
Well, that would be good. Hopefully,
It's also difficult.
hopefully the film helps in that regard to make them even more famous and protect them, but also hopefully it brings more attention to the whole situation. Meanwhile, on behalf of all of us, thanks to the directors and thank the family. Please thank the family.
Thank you, Hilla. Thank you, Ruth.